No. Okay. Let's start then. Gil, you want to go first, or we do the round first and then we wrap?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Kaviti and Alex. Okay, we have full house today, almost. Good. So who wants to start? Hello? Anna, do you want to
Yeah,
go? Yeah, Eric?
I can start. I will. Okay.
Yes, please.
So I can update. I have a small update, and also I have a question that more like a general wondering. Okay, first of all, update. I'm working now on like for now. I'm researching our like inline player for me and Khani and like for now our inline player is. Is uh, is using something called GMF player, which is not our applicaster player. So for now, like we have two players, we are maintaining two players. Our full screen player is our applicaster player, our player.java, and our inline player is using a total different player, which is called a GMF player by Google, which was added half a year ago by Pablo. So for now we are maintaining two players which means like if we need to add any feature, like we need to add it in both places. If we like for now in the inline player we don't support mid-rows and pre-rows, we don't support analytics, which we do in our player. So in this mission, what the end goal is like to use the same player for both inline and full screen, which the change should be like the change from inline to full screen is just the surface that we play on, and the player itself should be the same, which means that we just need to develop only once for the player, and it should affect both inline and full screen. So it's still in the research phase and how to do it, and also we need to like align with iOS and align with the UI builder also to support it, and like it's a big mission, but it's like we should do that. So this is for like my task. I posted on the channel the offer for Android. I was wondering like if we need to upgrade to Gradle 3.0 to for the Android plugin. So I was wondering like if anyone knows if it's like a big task to upgrade, if we have like many stuff compatibility issues, or we just like can like upgrade the version number and that's it. Like anyone knows what
So from my perspective, there's I know there's, whenever we are setting up the namespace of the app, this has been deprecated. You can't do that any longer. So that will be probably a thing to solve. Otherwise, I think it should be pretty straightforward. And I know that Android Studio helps with the migrations. So yeah, we can try to do that, but yeah, it's the setting up the namespace for the app will be an issue because it's a read-only field at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think this is a very, very important update for us for a couple of reasons. One obvious reason is like having the Java 8 features, which we have like for my like when I think about it, I think we have two major features there. One is having the Lambda expressions, which like make our code much better looking, much more concise. And another very, very important feature when we are doing refactoring is the ability to have default interface methods. So when I like for now, like when I want to add the functions to an interface, like currently, I'm doing like a breaking change. I need to update everything. So in the Java 8, we can add a default implementation to interfaces, like almost like an abstract class, which like when I do that, I don't have to upgrade anything, because I supply the default implementation in the interface, and that's it. I don't have to introduce any breaking change. So of course, adding to that the build speed and many other things. So I think it's a very, very important update. But if it's only like let's say a one-day task, I think we should like really consider doing that like as soon as possible.
Tarek, the task that I'm doing now is doing versioning for Zap Android, and I wanted to talk about it later, but it will basically I should change the structure of the repositories that we currently have.
Okay.
So first of all, you shouldn't do it. I want to do it in this task that I'm doing now.
Okay. Cool.
I can't tell you how much time it will take, because I know that there are a few breaking changes in this graded plugin. But let's say it's not my current task, but the one after.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Tarek. So we'll get to the update in the end probably. So we'll go back to Gil later. Thank you, Tarek. Who's next?
I will be next.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I worked on the Exo player. I want to change our native player for all the devices. For now, each device is using his native player. So I updated the player to use the Exo player, which is a library, external library, dependency. We had a few bugs related to this update, and I fixed them. Now it's in QA cycle, so I hope it will be merged in the next version, the next release. This is one thing, and another thing is I started to play a little bit with the UI builder, and I need to
explain about the cookies regarding this Exo.
Okay. So we had an issue with the Exo player. One issue was that when we are playing, we want to play a stream from Akamai that need to keep the session while we are playing. So this Exo player didn't save the cookies. Okay, so I couldn't play the stream because he must have the session for the Akamai authentication. So I added a cookie. I don't remember really what is the name. So just a second. Where it was. Never mind. I will send it to you later. But I added a cookie handler to all our HURL connection requests. So what does it mean? That all the requests that we are using the URL connection will save the cookies in the same session. It won't happen in the HTTP client request because they have another mechanism how to keep the cookies. So you shouldn't be affected about it. Where are you? Okay, so this is the Exo player, and another thing is that I want to support right to left components in the UI builder. So I don't know. I should talk with you, Gil, about it, or with Ron, because I think we need to make some changes in the UI in the Zap.
CMS.
Sorry.
If it's the Zap CMS, you should talk with Ran. It's not a problem with the components, right? It's just you want to add rules in the CMS.
Yeah, rules or something. I don't know if it will be a rule, but we need to have something that we can configure in the CMS. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we should talk with Ran about it.
Okay, so that's all for me.
Okay, so just to connect between what you said about the Exo player and what Tarek talked before, the Exo player is the base player of the full screen player that we currently have, right? This is what you intend to do. Replace the full screen player that we have from being the Android default, which can vary between manufacturers, right?
Yep. And it will use the Exo player.
Standard Exo player that was supported and provided by Google. It's a Google library?
Yeah.
Okay. And how
It should
so
not,
Tarek needs obviously to take into consideration if he can use the Exo player to use.
Yeah. So my change, what I do is like use for the inline player, use our like let's say default player, which in this case will be the Exo player. So in the end, like both players, like both modes, let's say inline and the full screen will use the same player. If we do the Exo player, the default one, it will be the default also for the inline player. So it will also affect that.
I understand. So you don't use the Exo directly, you use the wrapper. Yeah, okay, I understand.
Yeah. The player, like the activities, contain a wrapper for the Exo player.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but in this case, it's a view probably. Okay, but fine, I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Good. Thanks, Kariti. Who's next? One by one, please.
I can go next.
That's all right.
Okay, so I have a small update regarding the Chromecast button. So basically, up until now, all apps that used Chromecast had a white button in the top bar. Now we have one of our clients asking
Which app
for.
are you using for the customer app? Sorry.
So we have all the ProSieben apps, and we have, I think, Zappen, right, Guy? They use Chromecast. And
it's like our implementation? Sorry for the question.
It's partly our implementation and their implementation in the player, because they have a plugin for player.
Okay.
Yeah, so we created the part that the app needs to display and connect and display the controls of Chromecast and the receiver app.
Yes, the receiver app and the button inside the player, they control it.
Yeah, they control what's inside the player and the receiver app that actually displays
Yes.
the cast on TV.
Elad, do you guys, what?
Sorry, I will ask you in the end. Sorry, you can.
Okay, do you guys in the Israel team have apps that use Chromecast?
No, but we want to develop it.
It's in the roadmap.
In Reshet, for example, we have we have like a very hot request, like all the users requesting like Chromecast support.
Okay.
So
I think it's good for everybody, from all the regions to use it. So
yeah, Okay, so anyway, up until now, all apps that use Chromecast had a white button in the top bar. Now, one of our apps uses a white top bar, so they couldn't see the Chromecast button. So they asked us to enable them to change the color of the Chromecast button. So currently we take it from, I added the ability to select a color in Zap. I added a key called Chromecast button color. And then you can customize it and you get each color that you want, every color that you want. That's it.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm trying, I didn't understand really what we are having now in our code, like what implemented in our side regarding to the Chromecast.
Oh, it's not regarding the color you're talking about. Okay. So basically Chromecast is, has a lot of, how do you call it, parts in it. For instance, you have the button in the top bar. You have the mini controller. When you cast something, you have a bottom strip that is called the mini controller, where you can pause or play. You control the screen, basically. Also, you have the receiver app, which is the app inside the TV, inside the Chromecast device. Which we don't have. We don't have an implementation of that. What else? You have the full screen. I'm not sure how you call it, but I can send you guys a link to all the screens and all the buttons that are related to Chromecast. Yeah, okay.
And if you have some, I don't know, requirement like a PRD document or something like that, or a design document about it, it will be great, because I have a task to add the Chromecast, and I just want to know what you decided to do.
Okay.
How we can
The client that asked for Chromecast, do we give them the player, or do they have like a plugin that they're developing or something?
No, it will be on our player.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we will talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just keep in mind, Kariti, when you get to it at some point, know that the default icon for Chromecast is white. It might be, I think Merav checked, it might be dependent on the actual theme of the app. If the app is themed black, the icon appears white, and if the app is themed white, the app appears black. Something like
that's the default. That's the default behavior, but we no.
No, we enforce a black theme in our apps. Is that true?
Black.
That we use the default theme, so I think it's black.
Okay.
Anyway, the color appeared to be white, and we needed to change it. So just take into consideration, Kariti, that the color can be customized, and it can match the color of the app that you want to present on.
Okay.
If I can, I would like to add something about Chromecast development in general. Chromecast is very nuanced and complicated depending on the situation. And if we wanted to have a default Chromecast, it would be for a very small subset of customers that have videos that are using our standard player, don't have DRM, and we could use the basic implementation and the basic receiver app with the basic sender setup, and that's fine. But then we have situations where, for example, in our region, America TV, which has DRM content and they're using the Uyala player, they want Chromecast. And it's basically impossible to make a generalized implementation for them. It would have to be custom made, and it would only work inside of their player which goes against the guidelines. Sorry, give me one sec. So anyway, yeah, so since they have DRM, they would need a custom receiver app, and then they would also need a custom sender app, which we would implement inside the player. But then, as you were mentioning, there's other components like the mini player and this like full screen pop-up thing and all these other things that are interact with the rest of our app. We wouldn't be able to do that for them because there's just no way to separate that from the logic of other clients.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to add. Sorry, it's super loud here.
We need to think about it.
All right. So obviously, when you start working on Chromecast, we'll try to provide all the knowledge that we can to support. But as Javier said, it's probably pretty difficult to say something generalized about the implementation of Chromecast.
Maybe it should be. We think maybe we can think about it like a plugin, or think if we can do something like that, and then maybe application like in Latin America region can make a customized connection or something like that.
Maybe.
Also could be
Okay, we'll talk about it.
where you plug it into, but yeah.
Okay, thank you, Javier.
We'll probably attend to that subject
No problem.
in the near future again.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Merav and Javier. Right. Who else? Who else we've got here? Khani, anything interesting happening in the US team right now?
No, I have nothing to update.
Right. Alex?
I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, please.
Me and Anna, we're still working on this family implementation. And I have a question, so maybe someone can lead me into the right direction. So since we decided to parse XML with the family, which is going to be quite a few lines, and we're going to parse it on load of the app every time, Rand pointed out that we might try to persist this somehow. What do you guys think? Is there any sense in doing that? I know on iOS there is an as data, and I think in a base64 format you can store sort of classes. Would it make sense to do something like that on Android?
What is it that you want to persist exactly?
We're going to have the big XML file with the, I believe, metadata for the components. So it's broke down into the family paddings and all this like necessary data for the components. And since we're going to parse it on load every time, would it make sense to persist it somehow?
To persist is the outcome.
Why is this in XML and I saw that all the river loading is returning a JSON, so how it's an XML?
Well, we decided on XML for the readability because the, I guess, end goal would be to allow external resources to create families. So I think it was more readable. Down the road, like I wouldn't think there's a much performance difference between parsing XML and JSON on that kind of amounts.
So the river loading result will be in XML?
No, it's
Not river
this
loading.
is the file that
So basically, can I have a voice here? So basically, we decide to pass XML because we are needing additional attributes and also the additional content inside of the elements. And whenever you are think about the layout, all the top companies like Microsoft, Android or iOS, even every single one is showing the XML as a layout. And the reason behind is that it's easier to read and manage whenever we have to manage it. And we've created the base XSD, which allows us to autocomplete the XML. So it's actually easier to add some families inside of the Android Studio. What I think Alex is thinking here about is more like whenever we have that XML, maybe we could do some auto-generated code on the compilation time rather than interpret that XML on whenever it's compiled already. Am I right?
as an option. Let me broaden the question. What's gonna be the most efficient way to go around parsing this XML, as it's gonna be happen every time on load?
I think that the
We don't
best
want to
option
slow
is
down.
to parse it on the build script and not on the runtime. And then you will have it ready on runtime.
The question is, do we need to make remote changes to a family after it's created? Or you create the family, submit it, and from this moment forward, it doesn't change anymore? Doesn't change until the next.
Yeah, it's not
build.
likely to be changed.
So there is no point in loading it in runtime, if I understand correctly.
Yes, it's just the way that we decided to go with. Can we do it on the build script? Yes. But for that, it just would have taken me more time to implement and go through this stuff.
So whenever the
Unless
app is loading, you load the XML to understand how the family is built, how to create the family.
So we have,
At the moment, what we are creating here is a gap between the current implementation of the UI builder, what we are getting from the UI builder, and what we are showing on the platform itself. So it's like a temporary bridge, which probably in the future will be filled by UI builder. But now client requires from us to show specific things, and we can't provide them on the UI builder. So instead of having them in a code, hard-coded, and raising every single family to 60 files, as I proved yesterday, we are trying to create a simple XML file, which will allow you to create. So you provide a couple of layouts files, and then XML, which combine all the information, which override the what comes from the UI builder. If that makes sense.
Okay, now it's more clear. So as Guy said, if it's like should not be updated on runtime, we don't need to do it in runtime.
so you would advise against doing it on the runtime, period.
If it won't be changed, so I don't see a reason to do it, because it will be like the same result every time. So for why we need to load it every time? You can do it in the compilation time, and that's all.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And who's going to be the best person to talk about this? Anyone would be interested in helping me out?
I think maybe Gil.
Can you say again?
Gil, would you be interested in helping me out to go through this?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Well, I guess that would be it for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank
And this week, actually, and for the holidays and next week, I'll be in India. So I'll probably work next week on European time, and I might miss something. So I'll do my best to show up on everything.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. Anna, do you have anything to add on this or any other subject?
Yeah, so family for integrated.
Integrated.
now, I mean, it's on a dev at the moment, which I'm very happy, and at the moment, I'm waiting for the instructions, or maybe for some. So whenever we have to make it live, we need to add this family to the UI builder. So I'm waiting for that. And I'm creating a lots of small PRs, which are the new family show a couple of places whenever the code doesn't work very well. So I'm making a couple of new PRs to add my fixes to the run spots actually, and family 4. So yeah, this is me. Apart from that, we are progressing with the make the family creation more simple and easy than it is at the moment. I know Javier from Latin team is also making his family 3, and it's very painful. For me, it took, I think, 4 weeks to provide whole family, so it was very painful for me. And I believe that I'm very excited about the features which we are implementing at the moment. So yeah, this is me.
Yeah, indeed, good stuff. So you're getting assistance on submitting the family also?
So we want to push the family 4 as soon as we can. Obviously, it's a client related
UI builder, meaning so that it appears as part of the families that can be selected in the UI builder.
Yes. This is the idea. So you could select the family 4 and the related content to that from the UI builder.
Cool. All right. What else we've got here? I think we've covered everybody.
Anna, can you please send me an example of the XML that you're creating for the UI builder?
Yeah, so everything is under the family architecture or something like that. There's an open repository in the Applicaster, so you can just have a look over there.
Okay.
Was it Gilad asking, or I didn't get the name? I couldn't recognize the voice.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll shoot him the link.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send the link to Elad.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
All right. I think we covered everybody except for Gil. Javier, do you have anything to add?
Most of my changes are React Native, so they're more useful in the React Native talk, but I guess just as a quick update, we're continuing work on React Native modules, which is just a way for us to extend the React Native bridging into our own kind of like repository. It's kind of like a plugin, I guess. I know that React Native currently is a plugin, so it's like a plugin on a plugin, but in the future, it would just be an additional dependency to whatever React Native implementation you're making. And then you could pretty much do whatever you need to do using the Applicaster SDK. It's written in Kotlin. Soon, I guess I could show you guys the repo if you wanted to take a look at it. It's not very complicated. It's just using our social utils like Facebook and Twitter to authenticate and post, to a timeline and post tweet and retweet, etc. But that's on the way. We've had several problems because React Native Android dependencies have, not only are they not compiled dependencies, they're open projects, which I had to change a lot of stuff in SAP Android to get that to work. Once I actually built them through CI, I realized that none of these libraries have a ProGuard file. And since we minify everything, I had to again fork a couple of the dependencies we need for our React Native feed and add the ProGuard files myself. So I'm working on actually getting the open source project to accept my PRs and add a ProGuard, which in reality, maybe they shouldn't have the ProGuard, it should be us. But since we work in a very unique way, it doesn't make sense for us to proactively add things to our ProGuard when they might be there or they might not be there. So I don't know. Anyway, that's all the problems I've been having with that. But if you're more interested in that, you could join the React Native talks.
All right. Sounds like some community service there. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So Gil, do you want to wrap up and talk about the Zap Android project changes?
Yes, so we had two things that we wanted to do. One of them was versioning to Zap. As you know, currently we only have one version for Zap. Each build that we do is using the release branch, or if you want, you can use a specific branch, but by default we use the release branch, and it should work without the modular SDKs. The problem is that the Zap Android is generating the build Gradle and settings and all those files that are used or should be used by the generic app or should be affected by it. So we needed versioning, for example, to migrate to the latest Gradle plugin. If we just do it now, we break all the old SDKs. So this is one thing that we wanted to do. We also want to, as you know, to do nightly builds. So we want to make the process of releasing versions as automatic as it can be. So we thought about solutions to these problems. The most, let's say, correct solution we found was to merge the Zap Android repository with the generic app one. So we will only have one tag on the Zap Android repository, which will define the version. So the problem with that is that we will lose the history of the generic app. I'm trying to do somehow to keep the history of the generic app, but I'm not sure that it will be possible.
Have you spoke with the Javier from the Latin team? Because he told me today that the best way to keep the history is, instead of merging the generic app into Zap app, is do the other way around and change the name.
Yes,
because
I'm checking if we can do that. If we will be able to do it, it will be best. But maybe we won't be able. I need to see. Okay, but yeah, if we can do that, it will be the best solution. Yeah, so just take into consideration that it might be the situation, okay, that we will lose the history. And
I think if we are losing the history of the like Git, I think we might as well like if like make like reformat our code like to look the same, all the like you know the like Javier also suggested.
yes,
So we might as well do that, like in order
yes,
for
this
to
is another thing that we want to
Agreed.
discuss. I spoke with Javier. He suggested the squares style. I'm not. I mean, I don't have an opinion of which style is the best. If you want,
I'm not familiar with the square style.
sorry.
I'm not familiar with their styles, but for me personally, like it's almost like any style as long as it's like consistent, you know, along the way.
Okay.
You can do the Gangnam style from my side. I don't care.
Nice one, Tarek.
Yes. So, okay, so the thing is for you is that I want it to be happening on Saturday when none of you should be working. And if you will have any open PRs, you will probably need to manually apply them on the new repository. Okay? So I will try to do it myself, and maybe I will write you some instructions to do it most efficiently. Okay?
But if you're going on what Anna suggested, you might not need to do it. If you're staying
No,
with...
you for sure will need to do it, because if I'm using the generic repository, I will need to rename all the files, like to move it to a directory.
Okay. So the history is going to be less anyway.
No, it won't be, because Git recognizes when you move a file.
Okay.
So it will. It keeps the history of the file.
But the pull request might need to be recreated. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, if you have any, if you have any better idea to do it, or you have some objections about this process, so talk with me. Okay.
Okay. So you said that this should take place. You meant Saturday of this week, or at Saturday when you were done with?
Yeah,
with
if
the
it
research?
won't be this week, I want it to be the next one, because I don't want it to happen on a work day.
Okay. Cool. I think that's it. Is there anything else, guys? Any questions? Remarks? All right then. Thank you. I will upload this to YouTube soon for everybody who didn't make it today. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.